Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. And today I get to interview one of my first mentors almost, 4 something years ago, Ecom Vic. I am super excited to give this content out to you guys. He has a lot of value. He's done a lot of e-commerce. He's done a lot of affiliate marketing. And we'll talk about this all in this podcast, but please like, comment, and subscribe, guys. I really do appreciate it. And also check out Ecom Vic's Instagram. I'll link that down below. But with that being said, let's jump right into this interview podcast, whatever you want to call it. All right, see ya. All right. So first things first, thank you, Vic, for doing this. Really appreciate it. And giving your time for the channel. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, of course. Excited to be here.
Cool. So let's just jump straight into these questions. I haven't done many interviews before, but this will be fun. It's always nice talking to you. So first things first, like how long have you been in ecom? Like when did you first start?
So I started at the end of, I would say like literally December of 2017. So let's just say 2018 to round up. So it's been about 6 years doing this full time. So luckily my first store was successful. So I just literally quit everything and just went full in store, ended up getting clients to keep me sustained. And then, yeah, so I've been doing this full time for about 6 years now.
Wait, you said your first store was successful?
Yeah, so I was selling dad hats. This is not one of them. I usually carry them. I still wear them to this day. But I had a dad hat store. So there was this YouTuber, I forgot his name, but he basically posted a video, like when I was learning about dropshipping, about like how he's gonna build a successful store, $0 to $1,000 a day in a week, or $0 to $1,000 in revenue in a week. Sorry. And so I remember watching the video, and I remember thinking his website looked like complete like dog water. So I was like, man, like I could build a better website from this. I don't even know what I'm doing yet. So I
Yeah.
ended up building my own version of that website. Ended up like importing all these dad hats from AliExpress, and then pretty much just did influencer marketing with meme pages and like just very old school. Again, this is like 2017 before people knew what these terms actually meant. And
Yeah.
then it ended up being successful. I was making like 4K profit a month, and I just had dropped out of college. So like I felt like I was like a king, bro. Like making
Yeah.
good money. All my friends are still in school, and like yeah, that store lasted about 9 months too, so it was pretty good. I ended up using the remaining profits, bought a Rolex, which I still have, and then number two, a bad purchase, definitely a bad purchase. And then number two, I ended up investing in a mentorship for Facebook ads from Justin Wool, and that ended up paying off big time because that's kind of my main focus nowadays, right? But before then, I was pretty much all influencer marketing. I basically figured out how to schedule people to be the most effective. I figured out how to test people with like UTM links back then. So I was able to like kind of capitalize on that little gold rush right there.
Interesting. Wow. Kind of off topic, but have you heard of Dad Gang now? Like
No, I haven't. What was
brand?
that?
Dad Gang, they sell dad hats. That's their entire business model.
Oh no, wait, okay, hold up. I think I know who this is actually. Hold up.
Yeah. I
Dad,
follow them on Twitter, but yeah, they're crushing it. So that as soon as you said dad hats, I just thought of Dad Gang. It's like a huge.
dadjune.com. Hold up. If they have a certain hat, they might have tried suing me. Hold up. Because I actually ended up not getting sued. Don't put that in the podcast. But basically,
No,
yeah, I
you're way
remember I was
before them,
scared
dude. You're way
shitless.
early.
Yeah, I remember I was like super scared shitless because I didn't know like I didn't know any legal shit, you know? Like I was
Yeah.
21, like or 2021. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I ended up getting a cease and desist, but I thought that meant that they could sue me. So like I didn't really know. And like
Mhm.
every time I would Google search something, like no clear answer would come up. So I ended up finding like a local in my area. They had like offered free legal advice, like some random like community center. And I
Yeah.
ended up going there and some lawyer helped me out with the basics. And he's like, no, you're good, just take that shit down. But
Nice.
yeah, it was like some hat, and apparently like they trademarked the design, but it actually did come from China, but they just like trademarked it before I didn't know that obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like fucking scary at the time, but yeah, got past that shit and everything. But
Got it. Okay, so you made your first store, you did influencer marketing, popped off rent for 9 months, and you used your profits, you bought a Rolex. That
yeah,
probably still holds value. So
yeah,
that,
still have it right there. I literally only wear it out for like special occasions, bro. Like pretty
yeah,
much.
it's probably
Don't
not a
even
bad
wear
investment. It's
it.
probably that you probably sell it for more, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I got it for like it's a Submariner. I don't really know too much about reference numbers. I bought it for 8K. I think I could sell it for 12. So
Yeah,
I mean,
so
pretty
great
good
investment.
ROI there, you know.
And then you use the remaining profits to invest in is this your first mentor?
Yeah, my first mentor, Justin Wool, super nice guy. I one thing though is that he would do his mentorship style in groups. So it'd be like
I don't like
pay
that.
in, he kind of marketed it as a one-on-one, which was a little deceiving in retrospect, but I still
Yeah.
learned a lot from him and it was worth it ultimately. But yeah, I mean, I think like I would definitely like encourage people to go with the one-on-one mentor. I feel like there's a lot more to learn there as opposed to that group setting. But it was still worth it for me because I ended up getting the skills that I needed to like at least start and get to like my first six-figure month, and then from there just kind of go keep on going and progressing up like mentors and whatnot from there.
So you did organic. What made you switch the mindset from, okay, I need to learn paid ads rather than just keep trying to do organic?
Yeah, so what ended up happening is that started just dying out. And I think it's because the dad hat trend kind of stopped, like just boggled out around 20, like late 2018. I think people stopped caring as much. Especially because it was like kind of getting colder. So I think maybe like it was more of like a summer, fall, I mean summer, spring like entry like
Seasonal.
product. Yeah, as opposed, so with that said, like I felt like the bog down was just kind of hard because I would try different influencers. I would try using other products and like the influencer marketing like just wasn't hitting the same. And another thing is that like a lot of these meme page owners, and that's who I was relying on because they were cheap and they fit the budget I had at the time. Now I would say just go with a bigger influencer, just do your research, obviously. But at the time, like meme pages were my entry point because they were like a couple $100 a day or whatever for a post or like a pack or whatever. But even like what I started realizing is that these kids were like 14, 15. So like they wouldn't take it seriously. So I'd be like, hey, I need this post at 7 p.m. on Thursday. And then they'll post it like at like Friday, 4 a.m. And it's like, bro, nobody's awake. Like, what the fuck? So I'm
Yeah.
just burning budget, like, because these kids got too comfortable with me. Maybe I wasn't stern enough. Again, I was 21, so I was trying to be the nice guy. I don't know if like, they just didn't take me seriously after a certain point. Even if we had worked together in the before, they would just kind of neglect it. Or I'll tell them like, hey, post this, but don't post anything because that algorithm at the time, like if you post anything over it, it'll just basically neglect your post, right? Your post will get
Yeah.
zero engagement.
Yeah.
So I would be like, hey, give me at least like 5, 6 hours where you don't post anything after me. But then again, they would like, figure out a way or they would like just sneak it in there. And it would just be kind of annoying to deal with that because like now I'm like my whole business model is one dependent on people who are like don't take this shit seriously as I do. And number two, it's like it's not sustainable to be talking to these people all day, every day. Like I want to eventually go on vacation. This is before I ever took like a good major vacation. And like I don't want to be talking to people all day. I want to be able to just kind of have something where I could check for 5, 10 minutes and then go ahead and go on with my day.
Hmm.
And I hadn't already known about Facebook ads because like how I initially got into digital marketing is I ended up going to like an online trade school. So I was going to actual university for a year, ended up dropping out, and I needed something to do. And I kind of like did like the idea of marketing because I was a double major with biochem and marketing,
Okay.
and ended up finding this online program called Udacity. I do not recommend it if you're trying to get started in ecom. Like just buy somebody's course or like get a mentorship. It costs the same, and you'll probably learn a lot more. It was very, very surface level. Like, hey, this is how you navigate Facebook ads. This is how you launch your first ad, but it didn't really go over like, hey, here's the sales objective, here's the traffic objective, here's this objective. It's just kind of bare bones. Same thing, it taught me a little bit about Google Ads and then a little bit about email marketing and like just tracking with like Google Analytics. So it was very bare bones, but it was enough to kind of like get me familiar with the software. And I would play with the software here and there, throw $5 at it, $10 at it. Well, I was still doing influencer marketing. I knew that was just the end goal, right? Because I knew that that was an actual skill and like influencer marketing is not, right? I could hire a VA to replace me. I just didn't really know too much about VAs at the time. Again, like this is like way in my infancy of ecom, but it's like that's not really a skill. Like DMing somebody and putting them on a schedule is not a skill. Versus Facebook ads, media buying, learning how the psychology behind marketing works. Those are skill sets, right? So it's like I just kind of, eventually caught on that, hey, I should be learning this because this, even if I don't have an ecom store, is something that could still feed me down the line.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense. Sounds like a great investment that paid off
Yeah, for sure.
tenfold.
100%.
So from there, did you go straight into dropshipping stores, or were you going back to dropshipping with Facebook ads now?
Yeah, I was going back to drop shipping and I started looking into clients. So I started getting a couple clients. Luckily, like I had a pretty cool connection to like the local car scene in SoCal, at least in the area I'm from.
Okay.
And so I had a lot of friends who were like just older guys who just had badass cars and they would know all the shop owners. So I ended up getting a couple shops under me and let me run their ads. So one of them was like a body workshop, one of them did powder coating, one of them did like body parts. So like I ultimately just ran ads for them. I charged them really cheap just because of the time again I was learning and still getting my feet wet, but it was an opportunity
Yeah.
for me to learn on somebody else's dime, even further. And
Mhm.
also experiment with the higher ticket like range because these are all services or products that are like $300 plus, right? As opposed to like we're ecom, we're typically in like the 30 to like I would say 120 max kind of range, right? So I kind of learned a lot about that and learned like the psychology behind different audience groups, people with money versus people without money. So it was a good learning experience. And so I did kind of both at the time. So I just kind of use that to kind of like sustain my life, like basically going out. I didn't really have bills. My dad didn't charge me rent at the time, so just going out, gas, food, whatever, and then the rest of it was for pretty much just like reinvesting back into the store.
Gotcha. So were you doing just focusing on the media buying, or were you making the ads for them as well?
This is like way back oh, for them. So they would provide it. Like I actually still have two of them as clients. One of them like just kind of did something else after all, but pretty much they provide the content. And the only reason why is because like they're very like specific. Like I don't own 50 cars that this guy makes body parts for. So it's
Yeah.
like it's really hard for me to go out, and he would like live kind of far, so like his shop was like an hour away from my house. So like I would go and assist with recording days, but like I would just kind of mostly give him bullet points and scripts of what I want, if it's a
Okay.
video or what type of photos I want,
Yeah.
because it's just like the scale of the product's a fucking car versus like a mug. Like a mug you could ship to me and I'll get some UGC done or whatever. But
Yeah.
like with that specific those specific type of clients or business model, it's really hard to like do content for them.
Got it. So you're doing this and building clients. At what point were you actually doing this full time and really was like, okay, I can actually make a living in e-commerce?
Yeah, so I was doing it at the beginning of that store. So like I would say the beginning of 2018. I quit all my jobs. Like I was working two jobs at the time.
Yeah.
Pretty much quit all of them around like I'd just say February of 2018 and went full time in. And I was making good money with that store, like I mentioned, like about 4 to 6K a month. Which in retrospect isn't a lot, but it was a lot for the time. I was
Yeah.
21. Again, like this is before everybody got super young in the e-com space. Now there's like 16-year-olds crushing it. But
Yeah.
the time like that, like I was the young guy at the time, right?
Mhm.
So it's like I was like, damn, dude, I'm ecstatic. Like I'm making more money than the major I was initially going to college for would have made me. I'm literally chilling at home just DMing people. But again, like I saw the ultimate end goal was not that, but I was able to sustain myself for a good portion of the time. Like I was, saving up a lot of money besides like the little dumb purchases here and there. But ultimately, like once I got clients, like I knew it was game over, right? Like I knew I was gonna do this for the rest of my life. And I haven't looked back since. I haven't had to get a normal job, nothing like that since then, like I've taken like some random media buying jobs where it'd be a side position where it's like I get commission. And it's like more of like a W-9. But aside from that, like pretty much just been chilling doing my own thing.
Gotcha. So you've definitely been in the game a lot longer than I have. I mean, I started in like 2017, but for the first 3 years, I didn't make any progress. So you were in the game longer and making progress, so you've seen more. So my question is, what has changed the most through your experience that you can speak on since you
Yeah.
started?
I think a lot. I think first off, like if I had to break them down to like bullet points, one, like the average consumer is a lot smarter nowadays. Like
Mhm.
before, picture ads were king, and I know there's a lot of guys that still crush it with picture ads,
Yeah.
but I think now it's like your product has to be like really fantastic for a picture ad to work. Versus back then, like you could have a half-ass product, and like as long as you have a decent photo, like you can make something work. I'm not gonna say you're gonna scale to 6 figures a month, but you could at least make like a cool 10K a month, right, in revenue or whatever. So it was a little bit easier in terms of that. And then in terms of just like buyer psychology, I think now like consumers are getting smart again, especially with the internet. So it's like you have to focus more on things like UGC. You have to make cool clip videos. You have to kind of like, especially with the attention span with TikTok getting shorter, like you have to work on your hooks. You have to have better scripts. Like these are all things that we didn't have to worry as much about back then, right? The
Completely
number
agree.
two thing is that I think the Facebook algorithm, some people think it's gotten better, some people think it's gotten worse. I think it's like gotten better in some aspects and worse in some aspects. I think before it was a lot easier to manipulate Facebook in terms of media buying. Like if you actually had media buying skill, like you could throw a cost cap and manipulate the algorithm in your favor. Versus now, I don't think that works as much. But I will say the targeting has gotten a lot better. So it's like, apples to apples. It's kind of like I would have to rank it at the same. It's just like, we had to kind of learn how to like not rely on media buying as much and rely more back on the core marketing aspect, right? And I think that's like a blessing in disguise because like ultimately if AI takes over all the media buying aspect, it's going to come down to who knows how to market and then angles, copy. That's going to end up being like the main component, right? So that's kind of the other thing. And then aside from that, I think just like obviously new ad platforms, Snapchat came up like around 2019, 2020. TikTok followed after. So those are all new things. I think the whole influencer industry has grown a lot as well. So there's a lot of micro influencers, middle ground influencers, big influencers now. So it's like you have a lot more flexibility on who to choose and how to build your brand there.
Yeah.
And I think just brand authority matters a lot more nowadays. So it's like that. I feel like at the time it didn't really matter. Like I could like use a Nike design, just change it up a little bit, and it would be easier to sell. But nowadays it's like, yo, people would rather just buy Nike at that point.
Yeah.
So I think just things like that changed in the game over the past 6 years. But I think the e-com space is in a good space right now. I think the only problem is, obviously, like, there's a lot of scammers nowadays, unfortunately. And that kind of affects everybody, but nobody really thinks about it. But aside from that, like, I think the space is in a really good spot right now, for sure.
So what do you tell people when they say e-commerce or dropshipping is dead?
I think it's not really dead. I think it's just mostly like, hey, like you're either using outdated information, one, or
Hmm.
number two, you don't have enough information in terms of the actual marketing side,
Or
right? And
skills,
the buying side.
skills.
Yeah, the skill, right? So like you need
Yeah,
to learn how to copyright. You need to learn how to write scripts. You need to learn how to position your product in a good format. You need to know how to do CRO or build a nice landing page. And like, those are all stuff that at least gets the ball rolling. And from there, it's like you kind of can't learn everything from a book. That's one thing I also learned. Like you can read as many books as you can, but it's like you have to kind of go through it a little bit just to learn it. So when it came down to like, CRO, like there's some stuff that isn't one size fits all. It might work on one store, but on a different store, it might not be the audience for it, right? So like
yeah,
maybe you need that extra button somewhere or whatever. So it's like all stuff that you gotta learn, but you become more aware of it as you get older in the space because now you're like, hey, like I have a mental checklist of things to check. And like let me go ahead and see if that works for my case right now. And
yeah.
that's kind of like what I see it. And that's like the thing I would tell people is like, hey, dropshipping is not dead, marketing is not dead. It's like your skill set's just not up to par to the current standards of the market.
Yeah. I always tell people that drop shipping is not a skill. It's actually just a business model. And you're not good
Yeah, of
at
course.
drop shipping. You're good at marketing, you're good at copywriting, you're good
Yeah.
at understanding your target market. Um, and I remember back when we used to scale a store, when we scaled a store to I think like 60K a month on Facebook, we were all focused and we were in the right. We were just focusing on finding the winning interest,
Yeah.
and then not so much focus on the creative, and we were able to scale that one creative for a long period of time, where now it's like we're really focused on the creative side and less on the interest targeting, so
Yeah, exactly.
it's
And I
definitely.
think it's because the algorithm caught up, right? So the
Yeah,
algorithm knows, and obviously, like Facebook's been around, like in Facebook ads terms, it's been around for over a decade. Like it's been around for like 15 years now. So it's
yeah,
like there's a lot of data points that they have, right? So it's like it's
yeah,
just going to continually get better. And I think it will get to the point where media buying is like a three-step click. Like I don't know if you've been playing with Advantage Plus ads, but
a
I
little
feel
bit.
like that's the future where they're going to pivot, where that's
Yeah.
the only option you have. You
Mm.
set the age range, you set the location
Location. Yeah,
and your placements maybe, and that's pretty much it. I feel like that's going to be the end goal of Facebook.
yeah,
I think Google's already making steps towards that as well, and other platforms. Who knows if they'll still let us manual buy? Because I remember when CBOs first came out, they were only going to allow CBO, and they were going to up like
mm.
make EBO like go away.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But obviously now they kept both. So it's like, I don't know if like, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they decide like, yo, fuck all the media buyers. Let's just do it this way. Or maybe
yeah,
they give us the option, but time will tell. But in case it does go to the second, I mean, the first option where we're obsolete, it's better
yeah,
to have that marketing skill right now,
yeah. Got it. So I know you've done a lot of e-com and you do a lot of affiliates. Are you still very bullish on Facebook? Do you still use Facebook for affiliates? And what would you
Yeah.
say, in the separate question, what do you think are the top platforms to advertise on?
So yeah, affiliate space and ecom, Facebook's my bread and butter.
Okay.
I think again, it's just I think I like to refer to Facebook as the Swiss Army knife of like platforms because it's very diverse. I could go ahead and switch up the people who want to grow on IG, right? Because they have like new objectives to grow people, like get profile visits, grow a following. So like I have a friend who's a musician who's like I taught him how to do that, and now he's growing like 5, 10 followers a day on a low budget. So that's cool. You could go ahead and switch over to lead gen. Like you could get lead gen for like people who do pay per call, send inbound calls to like an insurance company, or you could go ahead and just get an actual lead form going and then sell those leads off. Or you could do e-com, right? Or you could do, there's a lot of things you could do with Facebook, and it's the most diverse. Obviously, Google, I would say, is equally as diverse, but I think Facebook does it a little bit better, and I think it's easier to transition your skill over. So if you're good at e-com, you'll pick up lead gen pretty quick. If you're good at lead gen, you'll pick up growing an IG page really quick, growing a Facebook group or whatever it is from like pretty quickly. So I would say Facebook's still the Swiss Army knife, and I think it's the easiest to understand. I think it's a good starting point because every other like aside from Google, every other like platform is pretty much a Facebook clone, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
reskin, TikTok's a reskin, Snapchat's a reskin, whatever else. Some of these native platforms are starting to go with the Facebook UI. So it's like it's a good place to start because it's the godfather of all of those. So once you understand that, you might not be the best at TikTok ads right away if you transition over, but you'll at least know where like what buttons to click, right? So it's like it's going to help you a lot in the long term. So I think it's still number one. I think it's king. Secondly, I would say like Google for sure. I think Google has more reach than Facebook. It's just like the truth. And as long, but like I will say it's a little bit more difficult because search ads are a lot different than YouTube ads versus
Yeah.
display. So you're kind of dealing with three different business models.
Mhm.
Because it's not just necessarily a placement anymore. It's like, hey, the YouTube audience is drastically different than people who read articles with display. And those people are drastically different than people who just search. So it's
Yeah.
like you kind of have to master all three to get a really good grasp on Google. But I
Mhm.
will say if I were starting all over again in today's landscape, I would probably try to gravitate and learn Google. The only reason why is because if you don't, let's just say you do e-com, you do drop shipping, and you don't like it, right? I had a friend who like one of my best friends who I run an agency with, Ecom Jesse. He absolutely hates dropshipping. He's ran two stores. He had a successful store. He just hated the day-to-day operations. He hated dealing with chargebacks. He hated dealing with suppliers, all that bullshit, right? That like a lot of people kind of move on from, or end up getting a brand and hiring out for that stuff. But he hated doing the day-to-day operations. So like, but he really liked media buying for other people. So like he just does SMA fully now, right? So
Yeah.
I think like the Google skill set is really like high in demand because not a lot of people do it. Whereas with Facebook, everybody and their mom knows Facebook at this point. So
Yeah.
it's like you're not as valuable as an asset to like these companies that might need some type of Google marketing or whatever. So I think that's like why I would kind of go with Google. I also think like the bigger reach is also more beneficial and you're kind of getting three platforms in one. So I would learn Google if I had to do it all over again in today's landscape. And then like the number third option or number three option, sorry, would be probably just TikTok. I know TikTok's really rocky and their algorithm is not the best.
Yeah.
But I do think like they do incentivize you to get started a lot because like they throw out like discount codes. Right now, I think there's like a 30% off coupon code
Yeah.
going.
I saw that.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Mhm.
So it's like stuff like that where they're at least willing to help people out to get started. And I don't know if that's because they understand that their algorithm's kind of like dog water right now, or if they're just genuinely trying to move people over. But I think that is like a big opportunity as well as with TikTok Shop. Like I know
Mhm.
like if you were, I did the math on it. If you were to run traffic to a TikTok Shop landing page as opposed to like an external Shopify store, you'd probably spend like 1/5 to 1/7 of the cost, right? So like the cost to run ads on platform is significantly cheaper. So therefore, like it's a good spot to start. I still think that Facebook skill initially will help you with the TikTok stuff,
Yeah.
but ultimately all three of them do like, you do need to learn how to write copy,
Mhm.
get the core marketing skills that we're talking about before you can approach all three of them, I think.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, Facebook has, for me, at least the past 12 months, has been much more consistent. It's been my most consistent platform by far, and majority of my spend is coming from Facebook.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Yeah, that's literally how it is nowadays. Like Facebook's just it's always been rock solid. It has its rocky months. Like I had a really bad March and early April, but like then the algorithm, I don't know what happened, but like it just fixed itself and it got good again. So I've been
Yeah.
like kind of coasting since then. So but that's the thing that's just the thing that's gonna happen on every platform, right? Like there's gonna be bad months, there's gonna be good months. You just kind of work around it or pump out more creatives to kind of find a good pocket and go from there.
Yeah. So I know we've been kind of talking a little more about some advanced stuff. I'm not sure if anyone watching this is gonna be able to resonate with the questions I've been asking. So I'm gonna switch it up and kind of talk about, speaking to someone who wants to get started in e-commerce and specifically drop shipping. What would be the first couple steps that you would do, given your experience and your failures and your successes?
Yeah, I think number one is start taking interest in the ad platform. Like I said, I would recommend Google just because I think there's a higher demand thing. And you might find out that drop shipping is not for you. And I honestly, that's one thing I want to touch on is like that's okay. If it's not for you, that's okay. Like I know a lot of guys who did drop shipping, hated it, went to SMA and they're making a living right from there, right? So it's like that's okay. Drop shipping is not for everybody. It could get frustrating. Like I'm literally more of an affiliate now than that because of those like reasons, right? I had to deal with a lot of bullshit that I couldn't control because of the drop shipping model or like ecom model in general. So it just depends, don't be discouraged if it's not for you, but just still keep up with the skill set. So first starting point is like get interested in one of the platforms. If Google is not your thing, look into Facebook, maybe look into TikTok, figure out what ad platform you resonate the most with and start learning it. A lot of them have free resources. Like Facebook has a free course on how to use its own product. You could start there. Then from there, if you like a certain YouTuber or a certain like IG guru or whatever, like you like Noah and Layden stuff, like go ahead and like see if you can get a mentorship with them. Save up for it. It might be worth it. So that's stuff that I would recommend. And then from there on top of that, like I would say just make the Shopify subscription, like do find the $1 plan. I know that link's always floating around and just start playing with the store. Like you don't necessarily have to pick a product right away, but start getting comfortable with how to build a store. Use multiple themes. Figure out how to like make the store look good. Practice writing copy. Like one thing I would recommend is like maybe like if you're not ready to like find a winning product, for example, maybe just go on AliExpress, find a random product, and then build a store around it, just so you could get comfortable with like how Shopify works. You get that all going. And I will say like me, I just started an ecom brand. I talked to later off camera about that. Like I just restarted and I was a little bit lost with the whole Shopify 2.0. It took me like about a couple days to get it back into the groove of like building a store. So I
Mhm.
will say like it is beneficial to know how to do that because it's like it's a skill set at the end of the day. Like you could build stores for other people if it doesn't work out, or you obviously could build a store on the fly. And there's gonna be times, and this has happened to me when I was really, really heavy into dropshipping, where like I would find a product and I'm like, I have to test that today. And I'd build
Yeah,
a
yeah.
store in 2 hours, and by
Mhm.
night I have the ads launched, right? So it's like to
Yeah.
be able to do stuff like that and work on the fly, like you need to have that skill set. Like you have to be comfortable with the platform, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that's another thing. And then from there, I would say before even looking for products, before I had like a whole product research criteria, I think a lot of it's still relevant, which is like, you check Google Trends, like
Mhm.
go on these platforms, find winning products and try to copy somebody's stuff. Like not necessarily rip it one for one, just like take the product but make it better on your own store. But I
Yeah.
think aside from that, like you should start learning about copywriting, start learning about like the psychology behind videos and scripts and hooks and stuff of that nature, because like that marketing skill set is going to take you a lot further than the guy who's just hopping on and just blasting ads at random, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you have a lower budget. I think it's like the preparation is worth a lot more than just going ahead and starting. I know a lot of people say, hey, like start as fast as possible, which is true, but I think the way you start matters, right? You could start as fast as possible by reading, making that Shopify subscription for $1 and like learning the platform and then take that preparation and make it work. Or you could go fast as possible on all three, don't know shit about any of them, and then blow a lot of money, right? So it's
Mhm.
like you choose your poison. I like to prep nowadays. Maybe it's because I'm older, but I think the preparation helps a lot nowadays.
Yeah. Andy Frisella has a really good point on this. He talks about how to
Mhm.
succeed, you have to be productive. And the only way to be productive is if you have the skill to be
Yeah,
productive,
exactly.
like the skill of making a Shopify store. If you don't know how to make a Shopify store, you can't be productive because it's going to take you a long time to make a store.
Yep.
So
That's
in the
exactly.
beginning, you have to learn these skills and really grind, and you're not going to be productive. You're going to be slower than your competition until you master the skill and until you can make a Shopify store within, you see a product like, oh, I'm gonna test this tonight. Boom. Now you just combine your skills with being productive, and that's how you succeed. And I really love that point he makes. And it's true. Everyone's gonna be really it's gonna take time to learn how to build
Yeah.
stores and understand copywriting, but you have to get started. And one thing I want to talk about is like especially in e-commerce, you know how it goes of testing products and failing. What are your thoughts on testing products and learning from your failures?
Yeah, so obviously it costs money, right? So that's the
Yeah.
thing that's discouraging. And that's why I highly encourage everybody to like learn the skill set first because you're going to save money long term, right? And it's going to help you out and you're going to feel better about yourself because sometimes all you need to believe is that one sale, right? That one sale feels the best. Like I still remember my first sale ever, and that shit still feels better than even when I did 100K a day, 300K a day. Like that one sale mattered more.
Yeah.
So with that said, in terms of like testing products, I think one thing is like you just have to be more aware of the market nowadays because
Hmm.
the market moves so fast. That's one thing, right? Like one product will be hot for a month, maybe 2 months, versus before I felt like products lasted a little bit longer. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm not choosing the right products anymore. But yeah, that matters a lot right now. So I think like definitely do your research on that market. One thing I've been getting in the habit of doing is like looking at the competitors on Amazon and reading the reviews. See what buzzwords people are using, like see how people talk. So I'll give you an example. The product that I'm running right now, we're doing it more as a brand, so we have inventory and everything, but a lot of the demographics older. So like we started noticing that they use like phrases or words like I feel like $1 million. I
Yeah.
feel young again. I feel alive again. Blah 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 blah. So like those are key points that I now use on my lander. I now use that incorporating that into the scripts I hire out UGC for. I now use that in the copy for like the Facebook ad copy. And that helps out because you're resonating with the audience a little bit more. So it's like understanding your audience is free, doesn't cost anything. So I would highly recommend doing that. So that way you could tailor your ads to them and you have a higher chance of succeeding.
Yeah.
And like just don't pick products blindly. Like obviously there's some criteria. I'm sure you could find plenty of people's criteria out there right now. I know I'm pretty sure you have a video on how to choose a winning product at this point. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like watch those videos, watch multiple gurus videos and find out what they all have in common and make that like your set core rules that you have to like the product has to check up like let's just say it's 5 things, has to check up all 5 of those things just so that way you could go ahead and give it a test. And before you give it a test, look at the Amazon reviews, understand the audience behind it, understand the marketing behind it, then go for it. Because nowadays too, you might need UGC right off the bat. And like this is like a double-edged sword with growing a personal brand. I'm pretty sure you've encountered this. Like I can't go ahead and make UGC on a product I like myself because people know who I am and now people will buy my shit. Like
Mhm.
pretty sure you will encounter that same issue if you haven't already. So like when you're the little guy and you don't have a personal brand, you have that to your advantage. You could go ahead and record a video really quick and make it like right away. Versus
Yeah.
me and Leiden, like it's kind of a double-edged sword because like we're shooting ourselves in the foot that people end up coming across that ad where it's like I have to hire out for UGC and that takes time and money. So like when you're young, like this little guy in the space and you don't have that big of a following, you have that advantage to like, also. So it's like, there's stuff like that where you could go ahead and capitalize on. And I think you should definitely like make your own videos in the beginning, figure out how to get everything as low cost because those like it could take somebody like up to like I know one guy, Lost Gray, name drop him.
Oh
He's
yeah.
nowadays, but like 4 years ago, like he was like in debt. Sorry to burn him out, but
Mhm.
he won't mind. But basically, like he was in debt, and it's like he spent so much money to find a winning product and it took him a long time to find his winning product, but that winning product changed everything for him.
Yep.
So it's don't go in debt, crazy either. That's one thing I would recommend. Like if you have to take a pause out for a little bit, but ultimately try to find out how you can market that product for as free as possible. And also explore other things like, like at the end of the day, like paid ads isn't everything about digital marketing, right? You can reach out to these people and like see if they'll do it for exchange for a free product in exchange for a review. And now you have that, and you can have like an organic kind of thing. You can try to make organic work. Or nowadays with TikTok, you can literally make a TikTok account and try to make a video yourself go viral. As long as you have a pretty decent phone with quality, like you'll be fine. You can maybe get a couple sales off that and start using that to test products. You could get creative with it nowadays. There's a lot of verticals and like ways to go about it.
Once you have the core fundamentals down, I truly believe anyone could be making 5 to 10K a month just from the core
Oh, for sure.
fundamentals.
For sure. For
For
sure.
sure.
And like there's clients like that pay you. Like I have clients who like so I used to do a lot more like flat rate. I transitioned more to percentage of ad spend deals, right?
Hmm.
So I take anywhere from 8 to 12% of ad spend from a majority of my clients. And like it just makes a lot more sense because I'm confident in my skill set. Yeah, there's rocky months where like, Facebook algorithm's not in my favor, so I'll make a little bit less commission. But on the good months, like I make that up tenfold, right? So it's like
So it's
that's
an
kind of how I like
incentive.
things
It's
work
like an
nowadays
incentive for you
too.
to spend more, right? On ads.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Okay.
like I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't confident in the skill set I have at this
Yeah.
point. So it's like that's the benefit.
Interesting. Interesting. Um, I want to talk about um, I want to talk about the importance of testing, just testing new things in general, but also testing like obviously new creatives. How's your process for affiliates? Are you testing? Are you just mass testing all the time, or how does that work?
Kind of. So I ended up getting I ended up like that's I guess like the good thing about having a personal brand is I ended up getting this kid DMing me who like was from India. He charges like super cheap for videos. He charges like $25 a pop for like B-roll videos with like 11 labs like voiceover and as well as like Mid-Journey, like B-roll mixed in or whatever. So
Yeah.
like I've been pumping out a lot of creatives that way. Like it doesn't work for every product. I would say that works a lot more for like health or like just products that kind of help with like overall well-being, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Okay.
So like that kind of has been helpful. So affiliate, like I deal a lot with like the Nutri space as well as the casino space. The casino space, for example, we have to hire out. Typically we'll hire out UGC or we'll hire people to literally play the game and record the reactions. And that's kind of like what we run there. And we'll just try to mass test. So the problem with the casino space is like it's kind of heavily regulated. So like people can't curse, people can't say certain things. So there is a little bit of like a variable where it's like, like we don't like to give people too much rules because it sounds robotic. But like, if somebody curses, then you have to get them to redo the video. So it's like there's a lot of things that we kind of have to watch out for there. But in terms of like the Nutra stuff, like I'll just try to have this guy pump out as much videos as I can. And then eventually once I know it works, I'll get UGC made. And then sometimes I'll just mix the UGC with the current videos we have and that all works. So it's like there's a lot of mass testing going on. And I think that's very important because I think creatives die out a lot faster they do nowadays than they used to before, right? So that's one thing. So it's like you have to kind of keep up with them. And it can literally be the same script with just a different person. It'll pop off again, right? It's just you kind of have to keep mental notes of these things or like write them down, like, hey, this script worked well. Let me make variations of this and get these tested right away. I think the person with the most creatives like nowadays is like who ultimately ends up winning
Yeah.
this ecom right now. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people still neglect. I think it's very important to just like continue testing and just testing new things too and coming up with new angles that are not explored, right? So like another example is like for the casino space, it's like a lot of people like rely on reaction videos. But one thing that me and my guys have been trying is like we've been doing like skits as well, like full on like actor skits, and those work really well. And that's something that not a lot of people in the space are doing. And it's
Interesting.
gotten the cost per acquisition a lot lower. So it's like just thinking outside the box, being a little bit experimental, it always helps. You might burn a little
Yeah.
bit of money doing it. So I would probably recommend it after you're comfortable with everything and making a little bit of money. But once you get to that point, it's a little bit easier. And like I would definitely recommend testing more aggressively on that kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay. A couple more questions here.
Yeah.
So obviously thinking out of the box helps a lot in testing new concepts. This kind of leads into my question is how do you stay ahead of your competition in e-commerce and affiliates and business in general? How do you compete with everyone else that's trying to get started?
It's a good question. I think the first thing is like you need to kind of find your tribe. So like find people like that you could resonate with. Like I don't go to every ecom event. I used to. I just slow down a lot. I go more to affiliate events now for one thing. So like I live in Vegas right now. So like a lot of the affiliate events are on the Vegas Strip. So it's like a 15-minute drive for me. So like going to these events, meeting people, getting close to them, making group chats with them. It's like something that I think helps everybody get accountable, like keep accountable. So like it's like, hey, I learned this. I drop in the chat and we all share it and we all learn from stuff like that. Oh, I saw this guy's like scaling this store super aggressively. Let's see what we can learn, right? So stuff like that I think helps with the trends because now you're not doing it alone, right? I think
Yeah.
like learning every new update, every trend, everything on your own is like you're gonna kill yourself. Like, it's just
Yeah.
impossible. But if you have multiple people and it's like literally everybody contributes, it's just gonna help everybody in the long term. So I would say find people that you resonate with. Maybe go to like one of the viral ecom events, right? And maybe you find people who you resonate with, and you guys become friends and make a group chat. And that's the biggest thing, like network. Like,
Yeah.
don't just go get the contact and never hit them up. Like, make the group chat like when you're there and like just make sure everybody's keeping up to date. And eventually, like you'll find like a group of people that you can have calls with. And like I'm in like 3 group chats where I'm pretty active. And I like resonate with people. Aside from those group chats, I'm like really close friends with people like, Layden. I'm cool with people like Ebenezer Frimpong. I'm cool with people like Jose Torres. Like those are my guys where it's like if I'm stuck, I could shoot them a quick text and be like, "Hey, bro, like I'm getting really stuck on this. Like, do you have any advice?" And they'll shoot me back like a piece of advice that might be applicable to my situation and could help me out. So it's like, I don't have to rely on knowing everything anymore. But obviously, aside from that, like I do like to keep up with forums. There's a couple marketing forums that like are good. There's a couple YouTubers. For terms of YouTubers, I like the ecom guys as well, but I also like the guys who are more generalized, like on Facebook. So guys like Ben Heath, like like any update on Facebook, like he'll make a video about it
Yeah.
and he'll dumb it down to where I can understand it in a quick 5-minute video, as opposed to reading 30 pages of like text, right? So it's like guys like that, like Professor Charlie T is another one where those are guys like who their whole focus isn't just ecom or dropshipping, it's Facebook as a whole. And there's a
Yeah.
lot to learn from them as well, especially with updates and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, I tell people all the time to stop watching drop shippers. I know I'm a drop shipper. Stop watching drop shippers and watch people that are more specific and kind of like I like watching media buyers, you
Yeah,
know.
the media buyer
Like
and
I find a lot of drop shippers just talk about drop shipping when again drop shipping is just a business model and you need to
yeah.
actually break down the skills and become an expert at all these little skills.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So it's like that stuff. I also like watching people who like the copywriter dudes. Like there's people who literally like just do solely copyright. That's their whole business model,
Yeah.
copyright for emails and stuff. And
Mhm.
their videos have sometimes have gems that you might have not thought about that you could resonate and plug into your ecom product or whatever, right?
For
So there's a
sure.
lot of different things. And that's the cool thing about the internet space nowadays is like it's so big. Like if you want to learn sales, watch Closer Guys videos, right?
Yeah.
And I also recommend like learning sales, like it's off topic to what we're talking about, but like definitely learn how to like close because like closing is a really good skill to have. Again, like if you don't ultimately fall in love with digital marketing, you can pivot to that. But let's just say like you do love digital marketing, but like you might not have a winning product. And there's been times where like I would solely relied on a winning product and they die out. Now you have a month where you made $100,000 in profit, but then the next 3 months you made no money. And you're
Yeah.
just burning money because you're testing, right? So it's like having clients, I think, is important. So like, and to get clients, one, you need to have results, or sometimes you get lucky and not have results. They might just be lower to your clients, right? But ultimately, you still need that sales skill to like talk to people confidently. And going back to that networking thing, like that sales skill helps there too, because sales instills confidence in a person. So like if I could confidently go up to somebody I don't know at an event and now we became best buddies, it's like that helps a lot more long term. So definitely like that's a secondary skill that I think everybody in ecom should definitely look into learning.
Yeah.
But again, just goes to show you how big the internet space is. You can learn pretty much anything, and there's a lot of specific people for certain things, right? Like you said, there's
Yeah.
media buyer channels now. There's closer channels. There's this email marketing specific,
Copywriting. Yeah.
and like those are usually the best people to watch as opposed to just a generalized drop shipper who's like
Yeah.
half decent on everything.
Yeah.
Not. I'm like,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard being a dropshipper. I tell people you're kind of a full stack. You kind of, if you're not outsourcing things, you got to be an expert at all these different skills.
I will say, like, I agree with you 100%. But I'm also thankful for those experiences because I felt like it helped me with other business models. For
Oh,
example,
for
like
sure. For
some
sure.
of my clients, like they sell courses, right? So like we help them market their course.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the things, like in terms of the automations, the flows, the email marketing, a lot of those things I wouldn't have known if I didn't do drop shipping first. Drop shipping gives everybody like a very good perspective on everything. And then
Mhm.
from there, you can kind of dial in on the skill sets that matter the most. And the ones that are a little bit like not as relevant in terms of your time, you can go ahead and outsource, right? So like that's the beauty of it.
For sure. Cool. Well, awesome, man. I think we'll wrap it up there. Vic, where can people find you?
So mostly just on IG, at ecomvic or
I'll put it down
ecom_vic.
below.
It's pretty much, yeah, like kind of where I'm at. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Don't have a YouTube. Really, maybe that's something for next year, whatever.
Yeah.
But just try and chill right now. Just kind of, like I said, I moved here to Vegas, so like just getting used to my environment. Still been here for like 5 months, 6 months, so it's like just trying to get like the flow of things. I've been playing with my sleep schedule and like all this stuff. So like I don't have time to interact like too much, but IG is definitely where I'm at, and I could get contacted the most frequently at for sure.
Cool. I'll leave your Instagram down below. Make sure you go follow Vic, send him a message, and yeah, appreciate it.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
so much, man.
Yes, sir.